For those of you in the Midwest, and I guess really the West Coast and the East Coast, if you're not one of the 49 states which had snow, which my buddy here is on one of those 49 states, excuse me, the one state that didn't have snow, congratulations on thawing out. Oklahoma was quite deep here, and I've been anxiously waiting to get back and chat with my buddy Phil. And this is something we're doing for you monthly, where we're just going to get together and maybe kind of catch up with each other. We are both deep into marketing and lead generation. And so if this is something that you like and you want to be notified of by if you're either in Phil's audience or my audience, please make sure you let us know in the comments. And if you're watching live, do me a favor, let us know in the comments also, especially if you have any questions, because both Phil and I will take those questions there for you. So without further ado, I want to talk to my buddy who I haven't seen in a month, meet my buddy Phil. Morning,
hey,
Phil.
Hey, Patrick, what's up, man? Good morning, my friend. Yeah, woo. Glad to not have snow, though, bro. I'm from Wisconsin, so I know how crappy that can be.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Wisconsin's one of the worst ones. I just out the right side here out of my window, like I couldn't see my lawn or my driveway or my street like a week ago. Like it wasn't just like a little bit of dusting of ice and snow. It was layers upon layers. And walking out to the car was just a matter of like not doing a Tom and Jerry thing and falling flat on my ass. So I hate you, Mr. Florida, Mr. Orlando, Florida, where it's always 70 and 75.
Yeah, we're fortunate, man. But yeah, my heart goes out to everybody, though, that's aching from the snow, because I'll tell you, part of my goal is to never see snow on accident again. That's part of my life goal, man. Because I tell you, growing up in Wisconsin, I saw way too much snow. My 13th birthday, I think we had 2 feet of snow, man. It was bananas. So yeah, so I'm really glad to be in the flow.
And this is how much I'm jealous of you. Like my phone has like the temperature of all the cities of where I have friends and family where I keep track of stuff. And I was pulling it up like 5 o'clock in the morning, like a week ago, and it would say like -10 here and -12. And I've got friends in Naples, Florida. So like if I pull it up, it looks like this. If you can see it, like Naples is on the bottom. So down in Florida, you guys are like 2 or 3 times the temperature we are here. And so I would grumble. I'll be in Fort Myers here in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I'll be used to that nice warm temperature. But are you safe and healthy, sir? Have you managed to avoid the corona?
Yeah, well, I got it for my birthday this year. I got it in December.
Oh, nice.
So I haven't had it since. Yeah, so that was a Thanksgiving and birthday present. Yeah, I got it then. So far, I'm safe. You know, in Florida, I think corona hasn't hit. I mean, even though we have mask mandates, even our governor doesn't wear a mask. So that's really nice.
Got it. Well, okay.
So that's interesting. Yeah, right? Yeah.
And I've been misbehaving a little bit. I helped judge a swim meet yesterday, fully masked. And a couple of weeks ago, I volunteered at a CrossFit competition. And I kind of floated between masked and unmasked. So for those people that are strictly mask lovers, I'd say I get it 80 to 90% of the time, but there are plenty of times where I kind of skate by and then I just watch myself very carefully for the next 48 to 72 hours. Like every cough, every sneeze, every ache, every pain, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? So, and also you brought up something that I want to give a very important shout out to, especially our friends in Texas, man, with this weather. They got hit hard. For those of you that don't know, Oklahoma is just north of Texas on I-35. And do you know anybody down there in Texas, Phil?
Sure. Well, Elizabeth McCormick, right? Courtney Clark is down there. Tom Singer, right? There's a lot of our friends down there, man. A lot of friends.
Yep. So they had it pretty hard. But fortunately, like I said, we're all thawing out. And the joke I was trying to make earlier, which I'm not sure went over well for everybody, is last week when we were all having this really bad weather, every state in the country had ice or snow except for Florida, which is where Phil is located. So this is why I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Florida, is because I hate it because I want to be there, and I love it because I want to be there at the same time. So it's good to have Phil back on. For those of you that watched a month ago, if you remember what we did, is we kind of did a recap of the topics that Phil and I are pretty good at, whether it's life topics or business topics. And we decided after that was kind of a good idea. Phil and I flow together very well. We have a lot of similar interests. and we may not even agree on everything we talk about. We decided for you, it'd be a good idea if we got together every single month. And so probably, Phil, what we need to do in the interest of both of our audiences is make sure we pick like a date and time, then we can promo that so people can get it on their calendar. So for those of you that are watching and you like our topics, we'll make sure to do that for you. We'll get you a fixed date and time on here. So Phil and I have worked today to build an agenda for you, and I'll let Phil kind of kick off the first one here. So Phil, what do you want to talk about first on our list today?
Well, I think, we'll talk about goals, but let's talk about what we've been working on, because I think that plays into that nicely, right? If we think about hopefully what we've done in the last 6 weeks, success. I find that, the more we can break up those goals, and the more we can think about them as a daily habit instead of, holy crap, this is a big goal, the more effective we can be. So Patrick, what's your big rock? What are you working on this year that you're going to say, this is going to change my life or change my business for 2021?
I think, I'm tempted to give you like the list of 100, but I'll narrow it down to 2. The first one is just a kind of ongoing fitness goal. I've seen you do some amazing things when it comes to losing weight and staying in shape. And I'm not one of those CrossFitters who's going to talk about CrossFit all the time, but I do love my peeps there. And so I go there a lot just to burn calories and eat well. We actually just got done with a month-long challenge there where I'm just eating more greens. I'm going like a little bit keto, but not full bore. Like I don't feel guilty about eating bacon anymore, but I eat a lot of bacon and spinach these days. So Patrick could really shed about 20 or 30 pounds. So my goal at the end of this year is I would really like to be about 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And I just got on the scale recently, and I'm making some progress there. That was good. So that would be one of my goals. And then another one is I'm trying to build up a membership program for my Stop Doing Nothing business called Playmakers, which is going to be a monthly membership program. My goal is to hit a certain membership level in that. And it's going to be a community. It's going to be, we're going to do live streams like this. And I want to kind of guide people through some of the trials and tribulations I've had since I've been in business since the end of '98. You get a lot of life lessons every single day in your business. So if you count the number of days from like it's January of 1999 until I went into business, I've got a lot of life lessons in there. So build up my Playmakers program for our following and a kind of a health goal. But what do you have going on over there in Florida that you're trying to knock out this year?
Yeah, well, health is always important. I think that's got to be a focus for me every single year. I appreciate the nice stuff you said. I've slid back a little bit. I got Corona, like I said, in December. About 6 weeks there that were freaking brutal, man, and where I couldn't do much at all. So I'm slowly getting back on. I actually moved last week. We bought a house, so that's pretty exciting. Thank you. Yep. So now I have to find a new place to exercise. I actually ordered a bike so that I'll get an Echelon Fit bike that should be here in the next couple weeks. And then from there, the goal is just 5 days a week to do something for more than 30 minutes a time. And then from there, right, that's my my intermediate goal. And the goal with that is to get that started by the end of March and to be in that routine, because it takes 66 days to build a habit. So I'm going to work on that. That'll be, whenever that bike comes, I should get 30 days in and then 30 more days. We have a fitness center and walking the dog. So I've got a big husky shepherd mix named Atlas that jumps on my shoulders. He's 140 pounds. He's a beast. And he likes to get up early. Like he was yapping this morning at 5:30 in the morning. And I finally at 10 after 6 finally said, okay, buddy, let's go. So I need to take him for walks. I need to take him get going. So that's the fitness goal. And then as far as business goes, like you, we're going to building with process and results. We're actually going to build like, I guess, a mastermind, an alliance, if you will, of folks who are agency owners who are like, hey, you know what? I'm tired of being alone. I want to scale faster. I need some guidance. I need someone, to hang out with, if you will, as well as to learn from. So that alliance will be available. We're going to start that in April, but we're going to do our first webinar to help agency owners in the beginning with cold lead to cold cash in March or April. Yeah, March 16th. Yep, March 16th.
I think you said March. We're going to talk about that later for sure. So agency owners, can you just kind of go into that a little bit deeper there? Are you talking like digital marketing agency owners like me, or like a different kind of agency owner?
Yeah, well, certainly digital marketing agencies, owners like you, also those who focus on just ads. They could be ones that focus on, they wouldn't have to be digital marketing. It could be website builders, right? So if you think about it, an agency is usually one or more people that work together
Right.
towards some sort of goal. That's all, right? So if they're like that and they've got either they have some employees or they're thinking, shoot, should I start hiring employees? They're probably a good fit to spend some time with us because we teach sales and we help with that, right? The marketing
Right.
side, Patrick, I would say I'm as interested as you, but not as good at as you. Whereas on the sales side, that's really my gift.
Got it. Got it. So if someone needs more sales side, this would be something more for them. And it's
That's right.
interesting because we didn't discuss this before. My Playmakers program, which I'm building now, is actually more for, I'm not going to say the entry level entrepreneur, but someone who's just past the entry level, who's had some success, who wants just a better handle on how to manage their life and their business, which is everything I talk about over here at Stop Doing Nothing. Oh, see my new toy I've got since I last saw you? I've got like a little
Yeah.
Stop Doing
Yeah,
Nothing
that's sharp.
marquee. Yeah, Santa
I
Claus bought
like
me
that.
that, and I finally got it up and running. Santa was good to me this year on that. So yeah, that's excited to hear. And for those of you who are interested in what Phil's gonna have coming up, we're gonna talk about that here more towards the end of the social. Please definitely stick around. And if you are watching live, please drop us a comment. And I've got a variety of windows open, and hopefully the comments will pop up one place or another. So now your bike. I was kind of curious. You talked about that real quick. Is this is it like a Peloton type bike where like a lot of
Yeah.
data comes in? It goes on
Yeah,
your
it
Apple
is.
Watch because I don't exercise. Exercise doesn't count for me unless I can get it on my Apple Watch.
Well, so I think so, right? So I think so. So let me grab my watch here because I had to charge it because I moved. I forgot my cord at the office, so I finally got my watch back. Right, I'm like
Very
you.
cool.
I've got an Apple Watch, and I expected the Echelon will somehow do that, right? I mean, and at the very least, it'll track my steps and
Mm-hmm.
my calories counted, right? Because we cheer each other on with our Apple Watches and that
Yep.
to make sure that that's good. But yeah, it does collect some data. I want to see how it goes. But I think to that point, right? Sometimes, and yeah, I'm going to get some haters for this, but sometimes it's actually too hot in Florida to exercise outside. And sometimes, right? I mean, at 5 in the morning to go walking, sometimes it's too dark, and I know everybody can relate to that. And so I want to have a consistent schedule where at least I know I can get an hour in every single day. So
Right.
that's why I got the bike. Not to mention, my sweetheart will likely use it, and so will our 14-year-old. So we'll have enough stuff there that everybody can use it. And what's great is you get 5 different people get to use it, right? 5 in the membership. So that
Got it.
makes it
Okay.
pretty cool because I think that's super important, right? That's one of the biggest misses, excuse me, for a lot of families is
Mm-hmm.
they don't encourage each other, right? Oh, mom does this, dad does this, kids do that, whatever, right? So I think it's more important that you all pick something that you can do together and so that you can encourage each other and maybe you can even, push each other to do even more because it's hard. It's hard to get
Yep.
motivated as a family.
Got it. Got it. So we were talking about goals here for a little bit, and you and I have talked kind of like I think like of our big goals for 2021, but I've noticed that, and this is something I want to dig into a little bit deeper, that it's
Yeah.
we can have a big goal that I want to shoot for. I'm looking over here at my calendar for December 31st, but there's a lot of days and months and weeks in between now and then. So when you have to do something like this webinar you have coming up, or like the company, if the company goals towards the end of the year, or your personal fitness goals, and I say I want to lose 30 pounds for this year. Well, that's a massive goal. How do I manage? I'm kind of curious, how do I manage something that big, Phil?
Yeah, well, I'm big on the reverse timeline. So
Okay.
I set the date to your point about, okay, December 31st, or for me, a lot of my goals end on December 2nd because that's my birthday. And I will reverse timeline from there, right? So it gives me that full year yet. And so with that, I think about, okay, so first, how far is that? So if we look today, we're approximately 9 months, and we could actually do that math between today and my birthday, right? And then from there, then I think about, okay, so what are those intermediate signposts? What's the halfway point? What's the quarter point? What's a 3/4 point? And then breaking it up even more than there. Like, what does that mean per week? How many times do I have to do that per week? That's why I said my goal is 5 days per week. Now, some people break it down even further than that, Patrick, and they might say, okay, well, every day my goal is to do this. And I think that's good too. I'm just not that big on that, breaking it down that far, but you absolutely can. And if you're really specific, you could say, okay, I'm going to eat 3 meals or 5 meals a day if I do that, or here's the 5 actions that have to happen every single day. And I've got I got a remarkable tablet to help me keep notes.
Oh, I hear those are pretty cool, man. Right? Very cool.
Yeah. So I can keep notes, and right now it's on a blank page, right? Because I have it to take notes in case we say anything that I want to follow up on. But yeah, so I can break that apart that way too. But it's really about the daily practice, because I'm far from perfect. I recognize it's a practice, not a perfect. Mm-hmm. So I get going on that, and I like to think of that as 5 times a week, because that way if I miss today, I can hit it tomorrow, as opposed to I got to be perfect every single day, which I know I won't be.
So really quick,
but that reverse timeline helps a lot. Yeah.
Got it. I was gonna say, I just learned what that tablet was, and I've got an iPad. Can you explain real quick what that tablet is?
Yeah, sure. So the Remarkable tablet, first of all, it is really interesting. Let me grab my pencil here because I dropped it. So first, it comes with a pencil, and the pencil does not seem to have any real electronics in it other than maybe like a magnet or something, but I could be wrong about that. But what's great is it allows me to single task.
Okay.
Yeah, single task, right? Really important. So I can write on here. So I can say, hi, Patrick. And my writing isn't always that great, right? So I can say that, and then I can convert that to text. So it has an optical character recognition in there. So that's pretty cool. And I can set up different notebooks. And this is where I like this device way more than I like my Rocketbook, though I still have probably 12 Rocketbooks. And that is, I can use the same one and have this just one notebook. So right here, it's one device. And one last thing I want to share is I can actually read a book in this and circle some notes. So right now I'm reading Leslie M's book about swagger. Patrick, you should get this book, by the way. Great book, right? Swagger. So why swagger matters, I can read the book and I can circle parts of the book that are really important that I want to make notes of. So when I'm interviewing her on my podcast this week, I can circle, underline, and pick up the things that I want to, or I could make a note in there and say, so Leslie, on page 17, you say this, that, or the other thing, right? So that I can really have that, and it's available. So that's what I like about it. It's a notebook that you write in. It's a PDF reader as well. It's single tasks really clearly, and I can write in a PDF so that I can take notes. So when I go back to a book, I can see, oh, well, what part of that is the best part, right? Which parts of the book are going to be really helpful for me? So as I look at this, right, if we're picking on Leslie's book, right, she's got good story in here, but then she's got some pull quotes that she has. She says something. She says, swagger is not about perfection. It's about being a flawed badass. So I write this, I circle this, right? And that's something that I would be like, okay, in the interview, I'd say, okay, Leslie, we'll explain that more. And in the book, of course, she does. So it gives me an opportunity to really do a good job of prepping for a podcast, prepping for conversations, stuff like that. And I can sync it to sync it up to the cloud so that I can pull PDFs down using the app as well. It's got a Remarkable app as well.
Got it. I bet you it's probably light. I mean, I'm a big iPad person. I've got one right here under the camera. And I bet you I can do a similar thing. But that actually sounds like it's lighter and works a little bit more like paper than my big. I mean, I love my iPad. I've got an iPad pencil, but it's a heavy beast.
And it feels like paper. So for me, who's a paper purist, right? One of the things that I love most about my Moleskine was the feel of the paper, of the quality paper. Now, this feels like a quality piece of paper. If I touch it, it feels like quality paper. As I write on it, I get the pressure that comes with the quality, because I'm a pen nerd too. So I've had custom pens made, and I actually right now, this is my favorite physical pen. It's the Sharpie S Gel.
Those are pretty cool.
What's funny is, I haven't used this since I got my Remarkable. I have rarely used my pen except for some signatures on my mortgage.
Okay, so you use it for like everyday note taking is what you use the Remarkable
Yeah,
for.
every sales call, every marketing call, every podcast, I'm taking notes that I can use right with that. So it's super helpful, man. I
Got
really
it.
love it. I'm actually surprised because I definitely had I had an iPad like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I gave that away because I just wasn't using it. And our buddy Sierra, she's like, "Well, get it with the pencil. You'll love it." I didn't. I didn't
Right.
love it. I had to find a separate app. And I would get notifications, so it would still distract me. This is connected to the internet, but not really. And by that I mean it's connected so that I can sync stuff, and it syncs my notes up to the cloud so that I can get it on the app. But it's not really, because there are no apps. I'm not downloading Twitter so that I can play on Twitter and, oh yeah, I might want to go live with Patrick, so I better have a camera app, and oh yeah, I better have my email on there just in case, right? So then it ends up junking it up just like my phone. So I look at my phone, now I turn off all the notifications on there. I have a single task device so I can take notes. Again, it helps me while I'm talking to clients and prospects, because no longer do I have to think about, oh geez, right? Like that, because that notification comes in, and even if I don't want to, I read it if it gives me the display, and it distracts me and it takes me off my game. So I find this a lot better for single tasking.
Right. And you bring up a very good point when it comes to productivity. I just didn't want to, and we're kind of going off of our plan here. Notifications, man, I cannot stand those on the iPad or the phone. It's and you know what? I say that. I kid you not. I say that, and I glanced down at my my iPad popped up notification while I'm talking to you from a friend of mine via Voxer, and it was a good message. But you're right. I mean, look, I glanced down. I'm supposed to be paying attention to my buddy, but it pops up. Patrick, man, you gotta turn off those notifications. So you love the Remarkable tablet, and I also put a note, Phil, in our document. Talk to your buddy if you really like that book. We can have other people. We can have 4 guests on my interview set up, so we can get on here and ping pong about why swagger matters. Because I love. Okay, this is swag. So, but swagger, yeah, swagger to me sounds like something I need a hat and a cane for. Is what it really sounds like. So
yeah, you'll love Leslie. So it's all about, it's about wearing your crown, right, in a good way.
Yep.
So it's pretty
and
cool.
For that
man.
show, I'll wear my purple hat. I've got a purple hat with a little feather on the side. I'll have to wear that for that show and get her approval. So if you like her book and you think it's worthwhile, man, we'll have to get her on the show.
Sure, absolutely. We'll do that. We'll do that. She's great.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's move on a little bit, because we talked about the big goals and the weight loss and the Remarkable, and I'll let you kind of take us into our next topic here.
Sure. So next topic, right? Let's think back. Let's dream a little dream instead of looking forward. Let's look back, Patrick. What do we think about our first day in business? Like, what do we wish we'd known? And for me, I always harken back to Dan Rome said something years ago, 15, 20 years ago, when somebody asked him, how do you get a best-selling book? And he said 2 words, second mortgage, meaning it's going to take more money than you expect, right, to invest to be successful. And think about it, Patrick. You can build slow for sure. You can build slow, and that's okay. But if you want to go faster, if you have some savings and you can invest it, you can go a lot faster. You can find a coach. You can find someone who can do some of the work for you. Because I'll tell you what, if I really think about what I wish I had done early in the business, and that is define what I'm best at and outsource some of the rest, not all of it, because initially I definitely didn't make enough money to outsource everything. But I wish that I'd known that right away, right from the beginning, that I didn't have to be good at everything, that it was okay to raise my hand and say, you know what, I need help, and to invest some money in a coach, in an accelerant, in someone who can help do some of the things that I'm not great at.
Got it. And
what about you?
And for me, it's always hard when you ask me a question, because it's hard to pick like one thing. Even though I love that book, The One Thing, it's always hard for me to pick one thing. I think, oh, I wish I had known that. I wish I had known that. And I think what you just said kind of comes to mind is probably outsourcing or subcontracting, either one, where I could have scaled faster. When I first went into business, I left the Hertz car rental center, data center here in Oklahoma City, a couple miles away. We actually had a contractor come in and do some work for us, and the contractor company loved me so much they wanted me to go work for them. And I lived on the road, and I think this happened in November of 1998. And first of all, I was very shocked that anybody wanted to hire me. And it was one of those things where I learned my very first pricing lesson is that I asked I put like a curiosity email to them, and they're like, sure, name a price. And I'm like, and you know, in negotiations and sales, you might, I don't know how you feel about this, but it's always kind of the first person that mentions a number loses kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Every time.
So I was like, oh man, this is my Hamilton one shot thing right here. And I just dreamt a number, and I said, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could make like $50 an hour? No, because what if they accept it? What about 60 or 70? I'm like, that would be cool. I'd be outrageous compared to my actual salary. And then I just kept going. I kept going. And I came up with the number 100. And I'm like, there's no way somebody would pay me $100 an hour to travel around the world for consulting. And sent it, and they replied back within like 15 minutes. Sure, when do you want to start? And so I was making good money, and I wasn't outsourcing my accounting. I wasn't outsourcing some sales and marketing. I was the one-man show, and so literally I would like checks would come in, and my wife Angela, Angela, she would not want to touch the checks or anything. So I'd like come home, and there'd be like 3 or 4 big checks on my desk that I have to go into QuickBooks, mark the invoices as paid, to take them to the bank, so I could come home and there'd be like $10,000-$20,000 in money sitting on my desk. You know what? These days, if that money was sitting on my desk, I would just lose my mind. So I could have hired like an assistant to come into the office a couple of days a week and handled all that, handled the accounting, deal with my accountant, things like that. So that outsourcing or that subcontracting, that's a good idea. And what I probably could have also done is I was making good enough money that and I was never not busy, which means the company I was working with had plenty of work to send my way. So what I probably could have done is like hired like another, asked them, can you send me more bandwidth, and hired like a subcontractor and put him on the road, maybe 2 or 3 others. So yeah, that thing when you're buying somebody else's time, you're also buying more of your time also, and that's something. Yeah, and then the coaching thing is always a good idea. Very few people can afford a coach their very first day in business, but outsourcing and sub-sourcing, oh goodness, I wish I would have really known that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. I mean, especially now, if I think back, Patrick, 20 years ago, there wasn't Fiverr, there wasn't Upwork. Everybody that I outsourced to, I mean, I remember my first assistant, not virtual really, she just didn't work with me, but right. She was in Milwaukee around me. I remember, paying her like $20 an hour to do stuff, and I was like, wow, I don't know, like I don't know what I can even have her do. And now I think about that, I'm like, wow, now I have so many options that I could do, that people could do for me. I need to really prioritize them. And it goes back to kind of that goal setting, like what am I really trying to accomplish? Because I can find somebody to do anything, anything, probably for less than I can do it myself. I do that with my shirts. Why don't I have my shirts dry cleaned? Well, I do. $1.50, nice. $2 a shirt, right? Not my polo shirt, but my dress shirts. Of course I do, right? Because for $2, it would take me an hour. Right. I charge a little bit more than $2 an hour. So, but I think about that, right? So stuff like that, right? Like sometimes lunch, not every day. I like to cook. I like to make my own food. But some days, just making sure that lunch happens and making sure that I have a plan for that even, so that I know, okay, well, what can I do? That's a way of outsourcing. I think about, office space now. I am not renting my own office space. I'm subletting somebody else's. So I don't have this crazy long lease. I'm, basically month to month. So now that I bought a house, maybe in 6 months, I might office right out of the house instead of here, because I try to pay a quarter ahead here. Well, all those things, right? Those are outsource opportunities that we don't have to do for ourselves. Even silly stuff like, cleaning my car. I'm not great at that. And not that I do it every week, but once a quarter, I just get somebody to come detail my car, and then I can run it through the car wash. And frankly, it's way better for me because, again, it would take me half a day. It took the guy that is a professional at it, it took him a whole day to clean my car. Now, you might say, well, Phil, how scummy was your car? But the answer is he just takes better care than I would because he's got better equipment than I do. But if it took him a day, it would take me a week to do what he did. So goodness gracious, right? That's just an awesome deal for him and for me.
And you brought up a very good point. One of the reasons I do like to outsource, let's totally skip the time thing, is the fact that when we all specialize, we get better at it and we do better things. Your car detailing guy has probably 10 different kinds of car wax, several ways to handle issues with aging leather. He's got a vacuum. He's got all those things. I just think of all those tasks that we outsource that people can get really good at. I saw Steve Harvey once talk about a buddy of his that he grew up with that got into car detailing. And he does that. And the guy's like a multi-millionaire. He's got 4 or 5 mobile shops running around doing car detailing because he got the specialized tools for it. I got, on the personal side, I decided a while back that I did not want to mow my lawn anymore. So I have no more, I'm definitely a suburbia family, but we have no more lawn equipment. I hire people with the weed eaters and the edgers, and they come out with a crew. They attack my yard. They're done in like 20 minutes because there's 4 or 5 of them, and it's immaculate. And if their weed eater breaks, they've got 2 or 3 more weed eaters, and they've got the extra gas, and they've got that stupid twine that breaks on the weed eater. They've got this stuff, laying around. Whenever I have to swap out that spool, because you take off the bottom of the weed eater, and you got to take off the spool, and you either have another spool that's full of twine, or you got to wind down and put it on there, that's 20 minutes. So, a 5-minute weed eating job is going to take me a half an hour. These guys are like, oh, let's go get the other weed eater. It's already wound up. So those specialized tools, and for you and I, because we have soft skills, it's more of those specialized skills that somebody could hire away. They don't have to learn. You don't have to be a LinkedIn expert. You hire a LinkedIn expert. You hire Phil, who knows that. I am not a LinkedIn expert, and I decided once I discovered Phil, I don't have to be because I've got, Phil in my hip pocket if I ever need him. So when we're talking about the outsourcing, it's the benefit of buying your time back, but also the specialized skills and specialized tools there. So you brought up some very good points there. Probably the same reason most of us go to
think of those as an investment, right? Think of those as an investment more than a cost. And I say that because how I look at the difference between investment and cost is really simple. An investment gets me a return. A cost is something that I have to spend that I don't get back. So like gasoline for my vehicle is a cost, unless I'm driving back and forth to work, in which case, or meeting with a client, in which case now it is an investment. Now that seems kind of small, but I would say though, if you keep track of your investments and you think about that, okay, so every week I have to get 2 tanks of gas, 1 tank for the family. I don't count that in my investable asset, but $25, if I can make $25 back, the car's worth having, right? Or whatever my car, that's what I pay for gasoline. Or, like here in Florida, we don't pay state income tax, but we do have tollways. So to save 30 minutes one way, sometimes I'll jump on the tollway. Not every time. Sometimes I have more time, right? If I'm doing something else, that's fine. But if I know I've got something to do, I'll just spend the $6 and jump on the tollway, and I don't care. But that's an important thing as a business owner that we think about. We have some costs that are sunk. We have some things that are investments, and they're not, right? So we have to know the difference of those. And I wish somebody shared that with me sooner, right? Like Mike Michalowicz's books are really helpful. The Pumpkin Plan and Toilet Paper Entrepreneur, some of those, right? That's someone that, we want to read. Have you read any of Mike's books?
No, I've never heard of his name before.
Yeah, you should check out Mike Michalowicz. He's really an interesting cat. So I've not yet had him on my podcast, but he's a really, really interesting guy. He's really, really sharp. Profit First is one of his books.
I know that one.
He's just a really, really smart guy.
So I didn't know who wrote that, but I've heard that book a lot in our world. I need to get that on my list to read. I didn't realize that was the author of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clockwork,
cool stuff.
Fix This Next. Yeah, really good stuff. So Mike's really good.
Good stuff. Okay, let's move on to our third topic, and so because people are taking notes, I was invited. First of all, the more I'm on social media, the more cynical I get with every social media website that comes out. Don't even get me started on that show Parlor. and all the other websites.
And it's back, by the way.
Oh, I saw that, and I get on because I have to be on the local news, and so I get on every social media site, even if it's only for 5 minutes. Say nope, don't ever get on that again. So I have a Parler account, but every social media site that's come over the past 20 years. I used to be, ambitious in getting on there, which is probably how you and I connected. I got a Facebook account when it was possible, and LinkedIn, and Twitter, and YouTube, and all that stuff. And so fast forward to the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, we're now in the world of Clubhouse. And I have been resistant. I finally got an account maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then I've got a company, and this is not a promo, it just happened to work out that way. This company right here called Printful. They print my shirts, and I've been doing a lot of good stuff in their group, helping people market. And they invited me on a Clubhouse. So I'm going to give my take on it, but I would like to hear your take first. Do you have a Clubhouse account? Have we done any shows on it? What do people need to know about Clubhouse, Phil?
Yeah, well, I do have a Clubhouse account like you,
okay.
Right? I'm asked often, hey, so what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I see it almost like an audio version of a live event like this, where we're having a conversation. Now, I say that because it doesn't get recorded. It's not there forever. It's a live conversation. You could also see that as a live podcast with some people that you want to listen to. You can pull in guests, so it makes it easier to do that. If you see somebody in the audience, you can pull them on stage if they want to. I think that's interesting. How valuable is it? Well, I think it could take off because it is audio only. Audio only, which makes it more intimate. So if I'm walking around the house, I can just listen to it much like I would a podcast. Now, my challenge is it's live only, which means I have to be present when the conversation is taking place, or I'm going to miss it. I don't know that there's a monetization method with it as it currently stands. I'm sure they'll find it out. But I see that there is opportunity because audio only is very intimate. It gives us an opportunity to listen more than video does. And I could see that it could be an audio only thing, much like the radio, right? Where we don't hear the radio in real time, right? I could see some ads being interspersed. That certainly is possible. It could be a new way for that. I'm not poo-pooing Clubhouse. I'm not sure, like how do they monetize that? Is it with, do people then have to pay to host a room? Because that is one of the things that makes it special is you have a room and a room host.
Right.
The challenge is, if let's say we want to talk about, Patrick and Phil do marketing. Well, if nobody have a show room called that, people could find that. They'd look for you. They'd look for me. That's cool. They might look for the words Patrick and Phil do marketing. That's cool too. But the challenge is it's not, I can't search within a conversation. I can't see. So who's having a conversation about X? And if the notifications, to your point, Patrick, if you're following 500 people and they all have one conversation a day, that's 500 freaking notifications.
No thanks.
Holy crap, man. No thanks, right? So I don't know, right? I don't know. Maybe next time for fun, maybe we'll also set up a Clubhouse room and we'll just talk to it like we are here, and we'll see what happens there and just see, does anybody listen? Does anybody care? Or is it just a bunch of marketers that are talking about marketing, right? That's always my challenge, man. I'll just be honest. That's always my challenge. Any of these platforms are often marketers talking about marketing.
Right.
And that's, I don't need any more of that. And some people say, well, I've gotten business off that. Yeah, you're a marketer. Of course you did, right? How to monetize your Clubhouse room in 30 days. What? What? Be first mover? Oh, that's past, right? Set up your room that's not named like anybody else. Okay, that's past. That's like saying, hey, you know what? You want to be good on Twitter? If only your name was just the letter A, that would be really helpful. Well, you don't get to do that. That's not possible anymore, right? Like that's saying, hey, buy a website that's whitehouse.com instead of whitehouse.gov and redirect porn traffic there like somebody did years ago, right? That's not even possible anymore.
Right.
They don't even let you do that because that's deceptive. Can't be first. So I don't know, right? And I worry that that's what a lot of Clubhouse is. A lot of people saying first, saying they monetized it, right, as opposed to lasting, which I think is more important. What about you, man? You haven't played much or a lot or no?
No, haven't done any Clubhouse broadcasts yet. I have one tomorrow or the next day, my first one, because like I said, Printful invited me on because they want me to help, basically help their audience. I've got a bunch of followers. A local person gave me an invite when I didn't even ask for it. I see people on there asking for invites all the time on Facebook, and I didn't ask for one, and I got one. So I've got 8 invites pending, and I have no idea, what to do with them. And you're right. We all know that marketers ruin everything. And the first people on Clubhouse, we're definitely going to be marketers. And so I tuned in yesterday, and one of the people I just kind of found some random ones. And the first random one I found, I popped in, and I could tell immediately within about 5 or 10 seconds, it was a Clubhouse broadcast about Clubhouse broadcasting. It was, it was very meta, just like people on Twitter talk about tweet, and people on Facebook talk about Facebook marketing. I'm sure the website clubhouseguru.com is already taken, and I've seen people on my Facebook feed talk about how they are the Clubhouse marketing guru already. I'm like, wow, that point of time, point of inception, from when a new website inception happens until the gurus start coming out of the wall is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And in the world of technology, our world, it doesn't take very long to become. First of all, to their credit, it doesn't take long to become good at something. I could probably spend a week on Clubhouse and be a Clubhouse expert, because an expert is only the person that knows a little bit more than the other person. So in any given room, you can be the expert on a particular topic. With that timeline, when people are becoming an expert on something, is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. It's a good thing, and it's a challenging thing, because then you don't know which guru to follow. So like you, I think there are some parts of it I like. I had to install the app again last night because I had installed the app, set up my account, and then uninstalled the app. The biggest challenge to me is the lack of recording and the lack of being able to go back and see content later. However, I 100% believe that's coming. And any smart person, by the way, if you're a smart person and you're on Clubhouse, I would encourage you to find a way to record your session offline and not on Clubhouse. Start doing that now so you can repurpose that content. So I think the recording's coming. I'm thinking commercials are going to be coming, or paid promoted rooms are going to be coming. The cycle of social media when you're around it for a while is the same. Twitter was the same way. Twitter came out, I would go around to local conference rooms here, and I would do Twitter. I would do how to do Twitter, how to do Twitter for business. And one of the things I pointed out is that Twitter has no advertising yet, and Twitter has a lot of, millions and millions of dollars of funding. And at some point in time, those investors are going to want that back. So if there's no current way to advertise on Clubhouse, pay attention, people, because there will be. And when I look at paid advertising, one of the things I look at is to see how much information can I use to target somebody. So if I'm gonna use Clubhouse eventually for advertising and marketing my clients, I'm gonna want to know how well can I target them. And targeting by age range and targeting by sex, those are the basics. We need to be able to target it by what people are interested in and what they're in the market for, which Google and YouTube do very well, and Facebook does really well on the interest side. I like Facebook because you can target by interest and likes. Not likes, you can target by giant interest. And on Google, you can target by marketing intent. So when I see something like Clubhouse, you can target by buying intent. So when I see something like Clubhouse, I'm like, okay, I put my advertiser hat on, and how am I going to be able to take advantage of this as a marketer for myself and for my clients? Because I want to have clients who pretty soon who are going to come to me and say, once Clubhouse offers either pre-roll, middle of roll, or post-roll, which is one of the things I can see them doing, like regular radio commercials do, how can I target people? How can I target the person or the lady who's interested in remodeling her kitchen to send those to my kitchen remodeling clients, things like that. So that's what I'm holding out on. The advertising's coming. That's not a question. How well can I target people? And I always tell people to invest more in marketing where you have better targeting And right now, it's hard to beat Facebook, Google, and YouTube. I'd like to say YouTube, but YouTube is part of Google. Those are just the big 2 or 3 right there that allow for really great targeting there. So I'll have to see how it works out in my new one. Like I said, I haven't looked at my calendar. I have one coming up, I think, either tomorrow or Wednesday with Printful, and they're promoting it now because it's their thing. But I'm gonna be a guest on that. I'll have to see how it goes. So I think you and I are kind of in similar veins here when it comes to cautious optimism.
Yeah, well, and then I just looked just for fun, Patrick. Clubhouse Gurus, Clubhouse Pros, those are all taken, but for $2,700, you can get clubhousepro.com in the aftermarket for you. So that might be yeah. So that's an interesting opportunity, right? So for folks, I don't know, but I'm with you, Patrick. I would say the more specific I can talk to people, the more I can find them, the better it can be. Because right now it's very hard, unless they're in a room, much like Twitter chats used to be, to actually find the right people. So if they're in a room and you're like, hey, they're smart and they're talking, I'm going to follow them. But right now, very limited search, very difficult to do things there, very difficult to target. But Patrick, let's not forget the best B2B search engine is actually LinkedIn.
Yes, that's true. Google. I'm sorry I did not bring that up.
That's all right.
Because
I'm just waiting for you there.
I didn't say it because I don't have to worry about it. Somebody else has got it covered. Right. I don't even think about LinkedIn.
No, for sure.
When people come to me and ask me about LinkedIn marketing, I'm like, yeah, I got a guy. He's in Florida. Go talk to that guy. That's not my thing. So, sure. Real quick, as we kind of wrap up here, I did want to talk about, you brought up something earlier that your company is doing. You got something for agency owners that are doing cold traffic or cold lead generation coming up in mid-March. Can you talk about that, my friend?
Sure, absolutely. So we'll be putting together a webinar called Cold Lead to Cold Cash, helping agency owners actually grow their business on that. So what do we do when we get a cold lead? How do we handle any of that? Do we have a sales process in place? Do we have something that takes people through a nice experience so that we can turn them from someone who didn't know our name into someone who wants to do business with us, and hopefully then spins that back and refers more business our way? So we're going to host that on March 16th. Looks like about 1:30 Eastern time that we're going to have that. It'll be at processandresults.com/webinar. So you'll be able to sign up for that. That'll be available real soon. Again, that's processandresults.com/webinar. And we're trying to help those agency owners, right? We're trying to help folks because a lot of people, they work really hard at a lead and they don't have a process. Or they work really hard at the back end and filling that up, but then they run through those dips and those peaks and those valleys and they're like, oh my gosh, I hate this roller coaster. What do I do? Well, that's where we can help out with that. And we think the webinar will help folks a lot.
Got it. Okay. So profitandresults.com/webinar.
Yep.
Processandresults.com/webinar. And then what's the date again?
That'll be the 16th of March at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
1:30 p.m. Eastern. Good stuff. So get signed up for that, or go to the website, check it out. There will be a sign up there eventually, and get on with Phil and his team there. And I think, Phil, we're kind of toward the time limit that we agreed upon. It's amazing. I always get concerned when I have to do either an in-person on-stage presentation or something web-based that I'm going to have enough content. And it's rare that I don't have enough content or that my guests and I don't have anything to talk about. It's always like, oh, well, we hit our 45 minutes. Let's go for another 45 minutes, another 45 minutes. You and I could probably do 3 or 4 hours if we worked really hard at it, but we do have to, actually help clients and get some other things done. So I think that it's been a good talk for the two of us. We're going to start working on next week. And like I said, if you're watching, make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube. But also what we're going to do is we're going to probably someplace around this video, Phil and I are going to figure out the next date and time for you and get that on there so you can follow both of us and so you can tune in to the show live. Because as much as we love recorded stuff, we love live stuff also. And in that vein, Phil, I want people to follow you on social media. So where can I find Phil on social media?
Sure. So if you can spell Gerbishak, you can find me. It's Gerbystshak. Find me on LinkedIn. I do lives there. Find me on my Facebook page. It's /Phil Gerbishak. Really simple there. You can follow me on Twitter at Phil Gerb. You can find me on Instagram at Phil Gerb. But wherever you are, search for Gerbishak. I'm not doing much Clubhouse yet, but that could change. I've got a YouTube channel as well. So just search for Gerbishak. You're going to find me. And of course, philgerbishak.com is a bit of a home for that. But if you want to see my work stuff and my work product and the things that we're working on to help agency owners, go to processandresults.com, because those are the two things every business needs to be successful. They need a process, and then they need to get some results.
Got it. So go follow Phil on social media. And for me, you can either search for my name or you can just go look for the word Stop Doing Nothing. There's a fan page for it. There's the website, StopDoingNothing.com. I also have PatrickAllmond.com. And for the most part, you're going to follow me personally. It's just Patrick Allmond everywhere. Twitter.com/Patrick Allmond. I think on LinkedIn, it might be LinkedIn.com/in/ because you got that little middle part there in the middle, /in/Patrick Allmond. On Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Patrick Allmond. I'm all over those places just like Phil Lazar. So if you haven't done so yet, please make sure you go follow Phil for sure to learn how to help with your cold lead generation and build a really good sales process, and follow me. And also, I'm going to really put a push here to follow us both on YouTube, because I'm such a big fan of podcast content and of video content. I'm not much of a blogger. Some people are into blogging, some people are into tweets, but man, I love my podcast and I love my video show. Maybe it's because I like hearing my own voice. I don't know what it is. So Phil, next time we get on the show here, I'm going to want to hear about this bike and this biking process. So I'm going to hold your feet.
Absolutely.
Hold your feet to the pedals versus feet to the fire.
There you go.
I'm going to hold you on that. I'm going to make some notes on a document for that. And then I want to see if we can talk to if you like her book, that book name, really caught my attention. Why Swagger Matters. If you like it, something like that, let's talk about getting her on the show.
Sure. Yep. And it's just straight up swagger. One of her pieces is Why Does Swagger Matter?
Okay.
So it's just swagger. Yep.
Okay, yep. Got it. Okay.
Leslie M. EHM. Yep. Leslie's great.
We'll put that on our notes document so we can see. Like I said, if you like her stuff, then we can get her on here, because I have you on as one guest. I can have up to 4 guests. So the 5 of us can sit here and chat away stuff. So that could be dangerous for us. But, as always, Phil, it's great to talk to you. We're going to work on the next show for everybody. And like I said, subscribe and follow us on social media. If you like the show or you want to see us cover different topics, Phil and I are both crazy smart. And if we don't know the answer, we're going to get a guest on that can get you the answer. So once again, thank you for watching. Phil, you have a great day, sir, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
See you later, everybody. Take care.